What's up guys, Chris here with Rooted. At Rooted, we understand that learning to play music can be challenging and honestly just overwhelming. So what we want to help you do is understand the why behind the what to help you learn to play the music that you love. So in today's video, we have something really special for you. We're going to help you understand the key of D on piano as it relates to its scale and its chords. And then we're going to learn to apply that key into a song called Build My Life, this amazing worship song called Build My Life. It's going to be a lot of fun, and I know you're going to get a lot out of it. So if you enjoyed the teaching today, I would love for you to subscribe to our YouTube channel where you're going to see videos like this and others of great teaching, learning some amazing worship songs and just some foundational principles on piano and guitar. So I hope you enjoy the teaching today. Let's go ahead and jump in. All right, y'all, so I'm really excited to jump in to this Build My Life tutorial here in the key of D. And really what we're going to do here is set up the key of D in terms of its scale and its chords and really help you understand the key of D really well before we jump into the tutorial because everything about the tutorial takes place within the key of D. And if you don't understand that key well, then it makes it really difficult to play a song in that key. So as we get started here, we're talking about the key of D. And a key is just a group of notes that sounds really good together, okay? So a group of notes that sound really good together. And each key has a different set of rules, okay? The key of C, for instance, is a key with only one rule, that you can't play any black notes in this key, okay? The key of D is a separate key and with two separate rules. The two rules in the key of D, is that you have to sharp Fs and you have to sharp Cs. And so every key then has a scale and a set of chords that go along with this key to help us understand what exactly we're doing. So the scale is more like the map of the key, and the chords are going to be the three-note chords and triads, sometimes less than that we use in order to play this song, Build My Life. And so it's really cool. Once we understand the key, then we understand the group of notes a whole lot better. So the key of D's scale, like I said, it's the map of the key, goes like this. We're going to start with a D. That'll be our first note. And then we'll play an E, and then an F sharp, and then G, and then A, and B, and C sharp, and D. So we have all the way from this D up to this D, and we have two sharps. F's and C's are both going to be sharped in this key, so we can never play an F natural or a C natural. Those notes are off limits. Those are not allowed in the key of D. Okay, so from there we get our chords, all right? And so our chords derive from the first, third, and fifth notes of any scale. So our D major scale, our first note was a D, third note was an F sharp, fifth note was a A. So when we put those three together, we get a nice one chord right here. Why is it called a one chord? Because our thumb is on the first note of the D scale, okay? So that's your one chord in the key of D. Two chord, we're going to move to the second, fourth, and sixth notes of the scale. That's our two chord, an E minor, all right? Then we'll go to our three chord. That's an F sharp minor, and then a four is going to be G major, and then a five is A major. Again, we're sharpening the C because C's have to be sharped in this key. That's one of the rules about D. Our six is going to be B minor, all right? Our F has to be sharped because that's one of the rules again. And then our seven, which we won't use in this song, is called a C sharp diminish. Okay, now every group of major chords, minor chords, and diminished chords have certain properties with them, okay? So a one chord, a four chord, and a five chord are one, like this, our four, and our five. Those are always going to be major chords. The 1, 4, 5 chord of any key is always going to be major, okay? The minor chords are always going to be your 2, your 3, and your 6 chords in every key, and your 7 is always going to be diminished. So those are just rules, and those are kind of your template. That's kind of your template for every single key. And once you understand that, it makes it really easy to go from one key to the next. The key of C major, G major, B flat, doesn't matter what key you go to, they're all the same. They all have the same template. The major chords are 1, 4, and 5. The minor chords are 2, 3, and 6, and the diminished is the 7. And so from there, and from that standpoint, is where we're going to jump into this song, Build My Life. And with those properties in mind, the 1, the 4, the 5 being major, 2, 3, 6 being minor, and being in the key of D with F's and C's that are sharp. With that mindset, we're going to jump into this tutorial. Now, one other thing I want to show you is this aspect called inversions, okay? Inversions. In some songs, we use what are called chord inversions, and all an inversion does is it takes like a one chord in what's called root position. This is called root position, where all of our fingers are spread evenly, okay? And all it's going to do is kind of jumble the notes a little bit. We'll take our D and move it to the back end, okay? So we'll play an F sharp, an A, and a D. That's still a one chord because we're still playing the three notes, the same three notes, a D, an F sharp, and an A, right? The only difference is we're playing them in a different order. Now your F sharp's in the bottom. So that would be a first inversion of the one chord, all right? If we were to go up another inversion, the second inversion would be an A, a D, and an F sharp, okay? That'd be second inversion. So every chord has three ways you can play it: root position, first inversion, and second inversion. And really, as we understand that, that really helps us play more cohesively and as a unit. Everything sounds so much better when you use inversions. If you don't, if you only use root position chords, your songs will sound more, just more simple, because the simplistic nature of chords is a root position chord. Those are the most simple, basic forms of any chord. So we're going to use some inversions. We're also going to use what are called suspended chords. So let's take our one chord again, for instance. If we were to sus or suspend this one chord, we'd be moving the middle note either up to the fourth note of the D scale or down to the second note of the D scale. Okay, that's why we have a D sus4 as opposed to a D sus2. And the way that you know which note to go to, either here or here, is by whether it's a sus4 or a sus2, okay? So we'll see some of that in this song, alrighty? So this song is at 70 beats a minute if you're counting it at quarter note speed. What we're gonna do though is we're gonna hear a click track at eighth note speed, so twice that speed at 140 beats per minute. And as we go through that, that's gonna help segment the beats a little bit better for us to stay better on beat and make fewer mistakes, all right? And so as we jump into this song, the first section that we uncover is a verse, okay? And in the verse, we see a right-hand lead. The lead is going to go like this. It's going 1, 2, 3. That's all that right-hand lead is doing. It's going from the first note to the second note to the third note. And as you do that within the context of the left hand is kind of moving back between the first note and the fourth note of the D scale. Okay, so we're going to start with a 1 in our left hand. So the action would go like this. We'd play the left hand first. All right. And then we'd go to our 1 again. So we'd hit that essentially 4 times. The time signature of the song is 4/4 time. So when you're looking at the chart, and we'll have a chart available for you to download here under and in the comments section here. But whenever you go to the chart to download it, you're going to see numbers by themselves. You're going to see some numbers with a dash next to them. Basically, what you want to know is that any number by itself in the chart is going to be an entire measure. And in this song, a measure receives 4 counts. So this 1 in the left hand, we're going to play 4 times. And our right hand essentially is going to play that 1, 2, 3 lead line after every time we play that left hand. So we're going to go like this: 1, 2, 3, 4, then to the 4, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. We'll do another 1, 1, 2, 3, 4. Another 4, 2, 3, 4. Then we'll go to our 3, which is in the left hand, which is an F sharp. 3, 4. Then to a 4 again. All right, that's the entire verse 1. We have a 1 in the left hand that we're hitting 4 times in a row. 1, 2, 3, 4, and then move into the 4, 2, 3, 4, and we're doing that all the way through with the exception of that 1, 3 in there in verse 1. And you'll see your chart, you'll see all this laid out really clear. Verse 2 is the exact same thing as verse 1. You're going to be playing those same exact notes in the right hand as far as the lead goes, and the left hand is playing the same notes as far as it goes. Then after that, we get to our chorus, okay? And our chorus The rhythm that we're going to do in the chorus, our right hand is going to be doing whole notes. So if we played a chord, we'd play it and hold it for 1, 2, 3, 4, and then we'd play the next chord and hold it for 4 counts, okay? Left hand is going to play single notes, not chords. Left hand will play single notes in this section, and it will play whole notes as well, okay? All right, so it's going to play whole notes as well. So the first chord we come to is a 1/4. All right, this would normally just be called a 4 chord, but to be more specific, we're going to play a 1 in our right hand over a 4 in the left hand. I was wrong here. We're actually going to do octaves in our left hand in this chorus number 1, but still do whole notes. So a 1/4. Now you might be thinking we're missing this F sharp right here, and that's true. With 4 chords typically, and you know, some of this will that I get into, I'll start talking to you about tendencies in worship music and really pop music in general. But so many 4 chords are played as 1/4s with just leaving out the middle note here of the 1 chord. Okay, so a 4 chord is typically played like this in so many worship songs. You have that kind of look right there in so many 4 chords, and that's actually how we're playing the 4 chords for the most part in this song. A 1 in the right hand minus the middle note of the chord, and then a 4 in the left hand, and in this case we're doing octaves. So that's the first chord we come to. We'll play that and hold it for 4 counts, 2, 3, 4. Then the next chord we have is a 1sus4. Remember talking about that earlier, where we had a 1 chord, but we suspended the chord. A sus4, we move it up to the 4th note, the middle note to the 4th note of the scale. We got that action over a 2. All right, so we got a 1sus4 over 2. So the first chord we have is a 1/4, and we hold that for 4 counts, and then we have a 1sus4 over 2. And then we have just a regular 1 chord in both hands. So 1 chord in the right hand, that's easy. Left hand octaves on the 1 for 4 counts. And then we have a 1/6. And again, on our 6, we're going to leave out the F sharp there in the middle. We're just going to play the top and bottom notes of that 1 chord, okay? And then we go to another 1/4 for 4 counts, and then another 1sus4 over 2, and then a 1/5. In this case, we will do the full 1 in the right hand, all D, F sharp, A, and then we'll go to our 1/6 the same way we did it before, okay? So it's pretty easy right there. Cool. The next section we come to in our chart is a turnaround. Okay, a turnaround is another name for like an intro or an instrumental. Okay, and in this section, our left hand is going to play what are called 8th notes. So if our tempo is 1, 2, 3, 4, our left hand would be going twice that speed. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and that's essentially what our left hand is doing here in this turnaround section. Okay, our left hand is kind of following the lead of the bass guitar here, and our right hand lead actually stays the same. Okay, we're still going to do that 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3 kind of action here. So the way this would sound would be like this. And then at the end of that, we kind of go up to this 1-5-1. So in the first right hand lead we had in verse 1, we just did 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. But in this right hand lead, we're going 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 5, 1, and we're doing that for every chord change. So, and then we'll go to the 2, and then to the 1, and then to the 6. Okay, so that's what's happening right there in the turnaround. We're playing 8th notes in the left hand, so the left hand's getting noticeably faster, and the right hand changes its lead line up just a little bit. Okay, so that's the turnaround section. The next section we have is verse number 3. All right, in verse number 3, our right hand is going to play for line 1 anyway. There are 2 lines of verse 3. Line number 1, we're going to start with whole note chords. So our right hand's going to just play a chord and hold it for 4 entire beats. So the first chord we come to is a 1. We'll hold it for 4 entire counts right there, okay? 1, 2, 3, 4. All right, and our left hand is going to play single notes, so no octaves in this first line of verse 3. And it's going to play whole notes as well, right, in sync with the right hand. So 4 beats on each. So we're playing a 1 chord here, 1, 2, 3, 4. The second chord is another 1/4. And so if you remember from the previous sections, we've done the 1/4 like just a D and an A of the 1, and then over a 4 in the left hand. Okay, so that's 1, 2, 3, 4. Back to your 1 chord, 2, 3, 4. Back to your 4, 2, 3, 4. Now in line 2, we bring in the right hand lead again, just like we had in verse number 1. And left hand is going to be moving back from eighth notes in the turnaround to quarter notes, so a little bit slower tempo there. And the right hand is just going to do 2 aspects of its lead line. So here's what it's going to sound like. 2, 1, 2, 2, 1, 2. Okay, so the left hand's going back to quarter notes. The right hand's just playing 2 progressions of that 1, 2, 3 lead line, and then the left hand's kind of holding on a half note for the last bit of that measure. Okay, so that's verse 3. Chorus number 2 now. We're going to be taking it up another kind of notch here. So with every song that we learn to play, in worship music, your dynamics have the tendency to rise and fall, kind of like a roller coaster. And that's really what makes some of these worship songs stand out a little bit. You know, I've heard a lot of people say, and it's very true, worship songs are not the most complicated songs on the planet, and it's totally true as far as their chords go, or even the lead lines and all that kind of stuff. So what makes the songs is really the dynamics. If we play with no dynamics, or if we don't play well dynamically, then the problem that we're going to have is that it's going to sound boring. It's going to sound monotonous. And so what we have to do as musicians is we really have to recognize that and recognize where we are in the song, okay? We don't want to be straight out of the gate as loud or as prominent as we are ever going to be. But by the same token, we want to give enough in the beginning. But as we get to chorus 1 and chorus 2, chorus 3, there should be a noticeable trajectory from one chorus to the next of where we're building and we're increasing our dynamics. And you can increase dynamics a lot of ways. You can do that through through more rhythms. You can play more rhythms like what we're going to do here in chorus number 2. You'll see this here in just a minute. You can do that by increasing the amount of notes that you play in either hand. Your left hand can do octaves instead of just single notes. Your right hand can do wider chords, like something like that, instead of just a D and an A. You know, anything to kind of fill up the space a little bit more. And then obviously you can play louder or softer. That's the easiest way to increase your dynamic, obviously. But then the other things are just definitely more intricate, and they're things you need to think through more. But they're great ways to help your song feel so much better from a dynamic perspective, and help it have a little bit of a rising and a falling. And so you'll see this as we continue to go through this song. So chorus 2, same exact chord progression as chorus number 1. What we're doing here now is we're going to a 1/4. Our right hand is going to play quarter notes, so 1 hit for every beat. And then our left hand is going to play octaves. So here's a 1/4. And our left hand is going to play on beat 1, 2, 3, and beat 4. So you'll see how this goes right here. We'll go 1, 2, 3, 4. And so every single chord is going to work like that. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay? And then we're going to go to our 1 sus4/2. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay? And then we're going to go to a 1 chord. 2, 3, 4. All right? And then we're going to go to a 1/6. 2, 3, 4. All right? And then we're going to go to our 1/4 again. 2, 3, 4. And then to our 1 sus4/2. 2, 3, 4. All right, then we're going to go to our 1/5. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then to our 1/6. All right, so that's kind of the pattern of chorus number 2. It's a little bit different than the previous chorus where we just had octaves in the left hand like that, and we just did whole notes, and our right hand did whole notes as well, right? And then our 1 sus4/2, and then our 1, that kind of thing. This is a little bit different. In this case, we're adding a little bit of dynamic, right? We're doing quarter notes in the right hand, and we're doing hits on beats 1 and beat 4 in the left hand. So we add another layer of dynamic to it, okay? So now, after we get to chorus 2, we're going to enter the bridge. Okay, so as we jump into the bridge here, our right hand is going to do a different type of lead line. We're going to have 4 different progressions of our lead, and you'll see this on the chart. But basically what we're going to do is our right hand is going to play a 1, a 2, a 3, and then a 5. And you'll do it 3 times over. This kind of follows the melody that's happening in the vocal. And then the 4th time, the 4th progression will go 6, 5, 3, 2, and those are just the notes, the numbers that are in the D major scale. So 6th note, 5th note, 3rd note, 2nd note. And that's going to happen throughout most of the entire bridge. The left hand is going to start on the 4th note of the scale, so the G, and then move to the 5, and then to the 6, and then to the 3. So when we put them together, our left hand is going to do quarter notes, or our right hand is going to do quarter notes, and our left hand is going to do whole notes. So it'll be like this: 1, 2, 3, 4. Then to the 5 in the left hand: 1, 2, 3, 4. To the 6: 1, 2, 3, 4. And then to the 3 in the left hand: 1, 2, 3, 4. And then the second time through, we're going to start a little bit of a new lead, where our right hand will do something like this. You kind of catch that? We're going 1, 2, 3, 1, 3, 1, 5, 1, 5, 1. That's the slight modification there to that lead now. So we still have the basis for the lead, the 1, 2, 3, 5, but now we're kind of modifying it with the thumb on the 1 underneath the 3 and the 5. Okay, so it'll look like this. To the 5 in the left hand. So then the right hand just kind of keeps that going. So that last progression, we just kind of keep that moving here. It's not like we do 6, 5, and then the 3 1, kind of the same way we did the other ones. It just goes 6, 1, 5, 1, 5, 1, right out of the gate. Okay, so that's line 2 of the bridge. Line 3 is going to be much of the same, the exact same thing as line 2. And then our left hand is going to go to octaves, quarter notes on the 4, the 5, the 6, and the 3. Okay, and the right hand is going to do the same lead. Okay. All right, that's line 4, and then line 5. Our left hand is going to go to 8th notes. Okay. And at the end of that, on the 3, our right hand is going to kind of pause, and our left hand will pause on the last 2 beats of that final measure on that 3. So we got 4 to 5 to 6, then to the 3. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. And then from the bridge, then we go into chorus number 3, where our right hand's going to do quarter notes, and our left hand will do half note octaves. So here's our 1/4, 1 sus 4/2, to our 1. You'll notice the half notes in the left hand, 1/6. Here's the 1/4. Here's the 1/5, 1/6, and then we have our bridge that's coming up next. All right, we're going to go do the bridge. The first 2 lines of the bridge are 4, 5, 6, 3 with that same right hand lead line in the right hand. So the first 2 lines are that same way we did lines 4 and 5 of the previous bridge. So now we're in bridge 2. So the same way we did bridge 1 on lines 4 and 5 is exactly what we're going to do here in bridge number 2. So start with quarter notes in the left hand. switch to eighth notes in the left hand. All right, and then our at the end, I'm sorry, we'll keep that. We'll finish out that pattern there on the 3. And then the last 2 lines we're kind of gonna break it down a little bit. Our left hand is gonna go to a 4, but it's gonna be a broken 4 where we do the root note and the 5th of that 4. And then our right hand will kind of do a 3rd of that 4 chord. And same thing here for the 5. 1 and 5 of that 5 chord, the A major. Right hand's playing the 3rd of that A chord, that C sharp, so 2, 3. Quick passing note here. 3, 4, 2, 3, 4. That's kind of how we end it. So those last 2 lines are a little bit more flowy, and as you get to the end, you kind of do a slight retardando. But you can kind of do a mixture of things. You can go 1, 5, 8, and kind of play the 8 with your left hand as well as the 3rd with your right. 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. Or just this. That's simple. You can kind of end it real flowy. You can do something as simple as this, or whatever you want there is totally fine. There is a specific way that they're doing it, but it really doesn't make a huge difference one way or the other as far as what you do, as long as it doesn't sound like too much or too little. So that is the entire song from top to bottom. That is it. We're starting from the verse 1, going all the way through the end of bridge number 2, and that's it. This song is in the key of D. So what you'd really want to do here is you'd want to be able to work this song from a slower tempo on up to a faster tempo as you move up. So maybe you start, maybe with something south of 140 beats per minute. Maybe you start with something like 90 beats a minute. That would be eighth note speed. Remember, this song is at 70 beats per minute, quarter note speed, but it's at 140 beats per minute, eighth note speed. And so if we were going to start this, and if I was teaching this to one of you, I would suggest, hey, watch the tutorial, watch the video, but then once you get rolling with it, try and start to play this from start to finish, starting at a slower speed. Maybe start at 80 or 90 beats per minute, eighth note speed, which would be like 45 beats per minute or 40 beats a minute, quarter note speed, and really just get to the point where you feel really comfortable. That's the thing we want to shoot for above everything else. We want to shoot for comfort and clarity and just consistency as we play through a song, because that's what's really going to help you learn to play a song well, and feel really comfortable and confident as you do it. We want to be comfortable and confident through every section that we practice. And so the way that you really do that is by starting with a slower tempo and then gradually working up. Maybe you work up by 5 or 10 BPMs each time that you feel comfortable with the section or with the entire song. That's the best way to learn a song, is starting slow and then going from there. So with this tutorial, I would highly recommend, again, starting slow. Really watch in depth as far as the different teaching on the different sections here, so you know exactly what you're doing and why. That's really the biggest part of this, because as you learn the why, you get to be able to then start creating on your own end, and it gets to be a really amazing thing. So as you learn this, take it slow, and really pay attention to everything that we talk about in each section. I think you're going to have a lot of fun playing through this tutorial. Guys, thanks so much for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed learning the key of D, or maybe just refreshing yourself on it and learning to play the song Build My Life. I know you're going to have a lot of fun playing that song. If you enjoyed the coaching today, I'd love for you to check out our monthly membership program using the link in the comments below, where you're going to get access to some amazing courses, some amazing coaches, and you're going to get access to this private Facebook group where we're going to come around you and really build some real community around playing worship music that you love. So I hope you enjoyed the video today. Check out the link in our comments below. Hope you guys have a great week.